old thinking and our old ways and all the things that aren't true today, but we think they are. We get to shift our perspective and unlock this limitless potential that we have.
Welcome to the Laura Jane Leighton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Laura Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Karen, is with us today, and we're going to talk about possibilities. Yeah, sometimes we just think, there's nothing I can do about this, or I don't know how this could ever happen. It's impossible. But life is full of possibilities, and sometimes we're just not certain of what those things are. So Karen's going to help us figure out how to take those moments and figure out our possibilities. Karen, the information about she's in the show notes. But before we get started, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. We come back. Help me find my possibilities. We'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimize.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right, Karen, I think this is going to be cool. And, sometimes I just get so in my head that there's nothing I can do about this. That's absolutely not true, because doing nothing is doing something.
That's true. It might not be the right thing, but it's definitely true.
So help me figure out how to see the possible where I think it's impossible.
Aha. One of the quotes that I love is, uncertainty for most people presents fear, right? It's also a reflection of pure possibility. So basically, uncertainty presents fear because basically what happens is everybody has a history of their past. I always call it the library of history. And so when fear comes into play, basically we always pull from, our history forward.
Yes.
And so whatever has happened, then we go, oh, this looks the same, feels the same, it's going to be the same. And so we don't take risks, even though the risk might take you to the new life and design that you want. So we just stop. One of the quotes I have is, uncertainty, creates possibility. And so if we can learn through, redirecting our patterns and our behavior, or thinking basically, we can get a different result. So there's tons of pure possibilities. I mean, the universe is here to help us, not to hurt us. And back to the cavemen, the universe has been helping us all along, right? And so we really don't need to do anything because we really don't know what's going to happen 30 minutes from now. I don't know what's going to happen after this podcast, after this time with you. But I'm not fearful of it if I know that the universe is working for me and everything I've gone through has got me to this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where my freedom comes from, is like not dwelling on the past, and like if something pops up for me, I'm in exploration mode. I like to just take it and just dive in and like cut it apart versus, searching for something that's going to bring me happiness. Happiness doesn't come externally. It's all inside of us. We just have a lot of stopping points that we put upon ourselves. And so that's what I love to help people with, is to get past that.
So I guess the first thing I would have to do is realize I'm in a state of uncertainty. I don't know what to do next. What shall we do? And then at that point, if I know that I'm in a sense of where I'm trying to find some possibilities, where do I go? I don't know. Then I guess there's steps on top of there that I would need to take to move myself into a state of allowing for some ideas to come in.
Yes, that's exactly true. And so that's where, my pause method, which is how it came about. My story takes me back to when I was so stuck, right? Back in my time, it was in 2010 actually, that I was so stuck and doing the same old and doing everything for everybody else. And I was so lost and I just got sick of it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? There's got to be a better way. I was a single parent of 3 young kids, a newborn, a 5-year-old, almost 12-year-old. Um, and I just was tired of it. And so I decided I was going to take myself on. I was going to figure this out. I was just done. And so I did that. I took a personal development class and I didn't know what I was signing up for, but what I got to see was how I played life, right? My autopilot, right? I was in a space where people could call me out on it. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Like I remember there was a situation where there was a leadership exercise we were doing, and I was sitting in the back, letting it all happen, but I had all the answers. And I remember saying, back, when the apprentice was on, I'm like, well, he would have fired all those people, right? And one of the facilitators said, well, then why aren't you up there if you have the answer? And I'm like, wow. Yeah. I mean, because we're sitting here suffering because I'm not stepping forward, right? So I really had to look at that and go, why am I in the background? Why do I not have a voice? Why am I not stepping forward, right? And so that was just another way of going, wow, I'm hiding. I'm playing small and I'm hiding and I don't want to do that anymore, right? So I just literally took myself on like for 4 full months. I saw my patterns. I'm like, I'm going to change this. Then I went to a coaching program, and then I got into coaching because I saw how it helped me and I wanted to help so many other people. And so that was my journey and it changed the trajectory of my life like since then. So to where I am today, right? My kids are amazing human beings out doing wonderful things in their communities. And I'm doing this. I'm still in mortgage, but this is what I love. I could do this 24/7, helping women get past the space, the point A, so they can move to B, C, D, and E and have this amazing, peaceful, joyful life that everybody is searching outside of themselves when really it's all inside of you. We just have to like take a pause, right? Um, and just start exploring ourselves to bring out that true nature of us. And so when I talk about the pause, it's really the space. The freedom is a space between the trigger of that fear and your response. So if we can fill that gap in with just a method and tools to get through it, then we can find pure happiness with our true self.
I love being, in my words, content, which is happy. It's like I'm not being pulled in a direction. I'm able to be here, be present, and be me, and so many times it's like before I learned that being me was okay, that's when I questioned everything. That's when nobody wants to hear the answer from me. They want to hear it from the leader. Nobody wants to hear this from me. You get this, you know what? It's okay to share. It's like, it doesn't, what if I'm wrong? Doesn't matter. You're still being that vulnerable, that ability to let yourself open and go, this is what I'm thinking may work. This is some possibilities that come to my brain. What comes to yours? And you can start that dialogue in that moment of, I'm feeling fearful. Something just happened. But how do I move past that fear? And that's allowing yourself to not be perfect. Now, you are. What comes out, what's happening, I am in full belief is what was supposed to happen. So, you're experiencing it, you're learning from it. And we go to tons of school. If we think about it, we go to English and math and for multiple years. And that's supposed to give you all the answers to the universe, right? No, it gives you the tools to figure out the answers. And so this is that moment to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, to really tap into your true self we have so much wisdom, and being human is a gift actually to share with others. There are people, Laura Jane, that you are a gift, and your wisdom is a gift to other people. So they don't have to go along the same path that we did when we were younger, possibly, right? And we can help them along the way. Everybody has a responsibility at a certain age to help the people of where we were in the past, right? Like I was a single mom for literally, still am, 27 years, and to help them, move past and not have them, get stuck in the generational issues that my mom passed to me. And like, you know what I mean? I'm like, we don't want to do that. Right. So one of the beauties that I have with my kids is a relationship with my 3 kids that's not happening. Right. I talk to them all the time. We work through all kinds of issues. I'm here to love and support them, not parent them at this time. They're all adult children. But it's an open dialogue, right. To help each other. So I just feel that it's a gift that we give to the younger generation, and it's a responsibility as well.
So what an amazing gift to give to your children, that communication. So many people are raised with this is how you must act. This is the rules. This is what makes you successful. But we learn those things. I had all the tools taught to me how to be a successful elementary school student. Got all the tools on how to be a successful junior high student and high school and college. And, I got some of those answers, but we weren't taught how to be us today. Us today didn't exist when we were learning all these lessons. And so coming back to your pause is giving yourself that moment to learn more about today. Because I am different. And the solution I come up today with may not be the same as last month because I have new information. And so knowing that
people as yesterday,
I'm not the same person. I might look the same, but I have new knowledge, new experiences.
Yeah, we are not the same person we were an hour ago, right? I just met you, and I'm not the same person before I met you, right? So the pause method really, if I take you through it, there's an acronym for it, pause. It's perceive, recognize the patterns, that we brought forward, acknowledge, accept what is, unwind, untangle those messages from your childhood that are not serving you, right? Shift, reframe your narrative or your perspective, right? And then embody is expand into the new possibilities. Wayne Dyer, one of his best quotes that I love is change the way you look at things, and the way you look at things will change, right? And so it's kind of part of that. But, even to basically change, your pattern, perceive your pattern recognition, it's really identifying the subconscious belief that is our default reaction to everything because it came from our past and it's just how we were raised. Like, when we were younger, we're told not to get in trouble. Then you might be an adult now that has that message, in your brain that says, don't get in trouble, don't get in trouble, don't get in trouble. So all you're doing really is getting in trouble all the time, right? But, if that's your default reaction, right, then that's what's shaping your current experience.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And how do we change that reaction?
Exactly. So what I say is ask, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it rooted in truth or is it rooted in past conditioning? Right? So, awareness is just the first step to getting there. So that's why I said when you take that, just perceive what's happening, right? And basically just acknowledge it. Try to see, is there really evidence today that that's true? Or is that evidence, it's real from my past, but is that from my 8, 9, 10-year-old person? I'm not that today. And how do we break free from those constraints so we don't keep living in that over and over and over again with the same patterns and same results and the same exhaustion, right? So, that's the first step. The second step is acknowledge and acceptance. Really accept what is today without any resistance or judgment, right? So I take people at some point in time through a timeline of like, go back and remember everything that you remember from as far back as you can, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Do your best without any judgment or no opinion or anything. Just write it down. Right. And then to look over this timeline, I did this when I first started. And it was like, wow, something happens every 7 years in my life. I feel, seen, heard, loved, and loved in my family. And then all of a sudden something traumatic happened and then I don't have it. And then I have it, and then I don't have it. It's like a little roller coaster ride, right? And so up and down, up and down. I'm so used to the up and down. That was my reality. I take that into my adult life. And then I pick people that keep that my reality. So I had relationships up. I pick people where I'm not healed from my past. So if I say I'm not safe, I'm going to attract people that are going to keep me not safe. Right?
So how do we attract the things we want then?
So it's really about going back and unwinding that subconscious stuff and figuring out where it's coming from, and then really realizing that it's not the truth today. It may have been your truth then, but really, it's not who you are today. Taking that and living in this world is exhausting. It's exhausting to live in a world where you're not safe. I mean, I can't even imagine, right? Your whole nervous system and everything like responds to that. But if we can actually take people and work with them and let them see that that's not truth, your truth today, that's a lie today that you just brought forward and brought it into your adult life, right?
Or if it is the truth, that is possible.
Well, there are things that happen. You're absolutely right.
And it's like, that's also okay to know that I can get through this.
Yes.
I can get safe.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And you need somebody to support and love you through that.
And can that person be yourself? There's going to be people that don't have a significant other or a close friend that they may feel lonely.
Yeah.
I would
suggest getting into a group. Find a group, a women's group. There's all kinds of Facebook groups that you can get involved in. There's groups within your community you can get involved in. There's a lot of outreach, but people just feel stuck and alone. And there's so many women in the same space. People can start their own, take the risk, call a couple of your friends and say, to be vulnerable and authentic and say, hey, I'm really stuck right now. We all want to make our life look so like, peachy on the outside, but really we're so isolated and so lonely on the inside. Some people, not everybody. But there's a lot of other women that are in the same boat. So having a community of people, is really key. Right.
I love it. Yeah, because we can find somebody.
Absolutely.
Even if you hire a therapist, it's like if you got to go that route. But I think most of us, or coach, hire whoever if you need to pay for it. But if you don't, we got those people too, right?
Yeah.
And, that's kind of like, I love to hold space for other people and help them process. I think it's so empowering to see them come into themselves, see them get to a point where they're getting, we grow up and we're handed all these tools and you put them in your tool belt and you go, I'm going to need this one day. I'm going to need this one day. But we never sit down and learn how to use those tools. And it's like, all of a sudden you must now use this. You go, oh, got to figure that out. And so it's like, sometimes, even though we have the tools, it's still an experimental process trying to implement them.
Absolutely. It's actually really fun to experiment and kind of dig in, right? But you also, like you said, you have to hold a safe space for people to actually move through that, right?
Yes. And if you can't find a safe person, there are safe people. Your immediate supervision who you run around isn't, you can find one.
Yeah. So, and then, continuing for the pause thing, the U actually stands for unwind, untangling and understanding things. Here's where we separate the fact from the fiction, right? What is real and what is not, right? What is this belief? What if this belief isn't true? You need to ask yourself some questions. What is this situation trying to teach me, right?
Right.
The space between the reaction and the response, right? That gap. If we can really dive in and figure out where that is, that's where the real power comes from.
Mm.
Right. And then you want to shift. And actually, once you get to that point, you can actually shift and reframe your narrative, reframe your story, the old belief into an empowering truth. If we are already free, already whole, already worthy, how would I show up? Right. This is where we get to rewrite our narrative and pivot into the new possibilities, right? The uncertainty we talk about where there's new possibilities, right? We get to design, we get to dream a little bit, Everyone always told us, dream when we were little kids. And then when you get older, stop dreaming, be responsible. Then we stop dreaming. Then we become moms, we become counselors, we become all these things for our family. And we stop dreaming about what we wanted. We put that dance class aside because there's no time for it, right? And then you get to actually expand, right? Freedom isn't just a thought, it's actually a practice, right? You get to take all this, and now you get to practice it. All right. The new possibilities, the new design of life. I like it when I have people I want you to just draw, just take a blank canvas. I want you to just paint what the new world looks like. Paint your picture now and then paint your picture 6 months from now, right? And see the difference. It's like your own jigsaw puzzle, this beautiful picture you're painting. And it takes every little piece, right? To make it a whole picture, right? So that's pretty much what the pause theory is. It really, when we interrupt the subconscious patterns, we get to create space for new transformation. When we accept who we are, we become free from its grip of our old thinking and our old ways and all the things that aren't true today, but we think they are. We get to shift our perspective and unlock this limitless potential that we have. So that's just the love that I love helping women get there. It's such a joy when you get to see this piece of point A. And it's even a great big joy for me. For some of my people, they started here and then by point D or E or F, we've gone in a different direction, right? That actually brings so much joy. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that, right?
I love that point because sometimes you think you know where you want to go.
Yeah.
And you start building that path and you realize, oh, I want to go to the right a little bit more. I want to adjust where I'm headed.
Yeah.
And that is always allowed. You always can say, hey, where I was headed isn't where I want to go anymore, and change. And that's okay. In fact, that's growth.
And some people might not like that. So I have seen for myself when I grow and go in a different direction, some people very close to me didn't like that. It didn't fit in their box. Right. And I'm like, well, this is the box I lived in, but I'm breaking out of it. Right. That's where the possibilities are outside your little constrained box. Right. And so, I've lost friends. I've lost, different people in my life. I've walked away from a lot of people. And that's okay. They were there for a season, right? A season that I might have been a little stuck. And when I started questioning things, I realized that, that's okay. I learned a lot from it. I don't have any regrets about it, but actually it allowed me to expand, and move forward in a different direction that actually is working for me. Right. So
I love it. I sit here and I listen to you. It's like, where'd you get all of this wisdom? Because
well, I am 63. So, I've been through a lot. Yeah. I had my first child at 25. I've been divorced twice. I raised my kids for 26 years by myself. I did it. I stayed single all that time. I learned how to be a a single parent very well. Um, and it's funny because I have even some family members, some nieces, that are like, oh, I have one kid. I'm so exhausted. Right. And I'm like, okay, so how did you do that? And I'm like, well, it takes a lot of structure. You can't be running your kids all over the place. I had my kids one day. What do you want to do? I'm going to drive you all around for one day a week. Right. So it just took a lot of structure. We did the same things all the time. And I remember when I just had one kid and I'm like, we need to go do something fun. So we would have a garage sale on Saturday and all the money that we made, we would get up at 3 a.m. because she'd sleep in the car and we'd end up at Disneyland by noon. And we'd have an
How
amazing
fun.
day at Disneyland on the money we made at the garage sale. So just trying to find little ways to have fun with your kids and like put some great things in place. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. But like what I learned was if you have clutter in your life, and I have a really good, scenario I can share with you. Clutter doesn't allow the creative space for you to dream and reflect. When you have clutter, it's like that garage that I had. That every time I opened the garage door and it was just full of 3 homes that I never wanted to deal with, and my divorce and all this stuff was in there. And I would just shut the door because I'd feel overwhelmed or emotional. I didn't want to deal with it, right? When someone challenged me with cleaning my garage in 24 hours, okay? I was like, oh, I got to get this done. I literally cleaned the garage. I had some help. I got to get this done. I need your help. I had some help, right? Got it done and got 2 cars in the garage, which I couldn't even get 1 car in before, right? So asking for help is really clear. It allowed me to then open up my mind because I didn't have all this stuff just closing it in, right? And then I was able to open up my mind and all kinds of things happen. I created a little craft space in there for my kids. I mean, it's just the possibility were endless, like what you could do in a clean garage, right? It's the same thing in your mind, right?
Right. And when you're talking about clutter, there's so many different kinds of clutter. And yes, if it's physical clutter, then you can't do your work because it's in the way. Get it out. But we have so much mind clutter and just things that we've been taught and told that are right, wrong. And you now get to pick if they're right and wrong for you today. You don't have to listen to some of the stuff. And, the more we put in our car or we add a trailer to keep pulling all this stuff, you lose your gas mileage. You're spending so much time worrying about the things in your car that you're not experiencing all these beautiful things coming your way. And so some of the mind clutter is also really important to let go of,
Yeah.
and if the object on your desk has a sentimental value and you can't get rid of it, okay. But what other 5 things can you? You know, and let go through that process of, can I take a picture of it? Because then I can keep it for as long as I want.
Yeah.
But
Or
then
the flip side is you can carry all that stuff around. Like each thing, sometimes we do this. So I give some of my clients challenges and it's like, let's do the backpack and let's put a hammer for everything you're carrying around and carry that backpack around for the day. See how that feels. It's heavy.
that would be fun, especially if it was like lots of them. That would be pretty heavy.
Yeah. That's what you're doing though all day long, right? You're carrying around all this stuff. You're pouring all this stuff on you. And it's like, what if you just could surrender and release all that stuff? Right. And then see what's possible. It's the same thing like when we started, we said that uncertainty for most people is fear, right? It presents fear, right? It's taking all that stuff, putting every single one of those fears in your backpack. And there's no way to see the reflection of pure possibility because you have so much heaviness, right? But when you start just releasing and surrendering, I'm like, I'm not going to carry that. I'm not going to carry that. I'm not going to carry that. Then I'm like, then what's available to you, right? You're going to see things very differently. Where you're not carrying all that weight on you all the time.
And I kind of triggered the scarcity and the abundant mindset, of when I am holding on to something because I might need it. I got to have this. I got to have this. And we put it in there. It's like another hammer or another 50 pounds of weight on your tires. It's more work than necessary. And when is it that we can go, I got the abundance. If I need a hammer, it's going to come to me. I don't need to hoard these 50 hammers because one day I might not have one. So that abundance, even if you have none, you have it. Where when you're in scarcity, you can have 100 of them and you don't have any.
It's a security blanket, right, that we carry around.
Yeah, it is. I just
But,
want to know.
We don't need them all.
And it is okay to let them go one at a time. And
So
you
funny
don't
because
have to purge it in 24 hours.
Yeah. My grandson is 16 months old now, and I just was able to spend a ton of time with him because his parents, my son and his wife, went on a couple vacations. So this last month, and he has a pacifier, a binky, right? And that binky is like with him all the time, unless we can like take it away. And so the fear right now in them is like, there's going to come a day, and I'm like, well, it can come, but when the day comes, let's just put it on a balloon, and let's just watch it fly away. And they're all in fear of that happening already. I'm like, it's going to be fine. But it's the same thing, right? He doesn't need it. There's times that he can get away with it as long as we can distract him and put him in a different, have him ride his balance bike or like give him something else or watch Winnie the Pooh or whatever. He doesn't need it. It's the same kind of thing, right? So, I mean, it's just whatever your security blanket is. And so that's another question you can ask. What are my security blankets that I'm hanging on to that really is not, I ask women, it's like, what do you want to design in the next chapter of your life? And what are the things that you're hanging on to from your past life that aren't serving you or in alignment with that new design? That's the question. Like some of the things you want to bring forward because they're really good. My dad gave me an amazing morals and ethics for work, amazing discipline and consistency. But there are some things that I don't want to bring forward, right? So just leave them in the past, right? And I'm thankful for those things because they made me who I am, but I get to choose now.
You do. Every moment you get to choose.
Yes.
It's so empowering. And it kind of made me think about, like every day we get up and shower. Every so often we have our windows washed in our house. Some people do it more often than I do. But it's kind of the same as cleaning our brain and decluttering, It comes back. And even though you think you've dealt with this problem, life happens.
Yeah.
And you do get to wash the windows again, and you do get to shower again. It's part of life.
Yeah.
And repurging and refinding those possibilities you get to do every time you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would encourage women to, just take a pause. Now, the pause, that I walked through, that's a piece of the pause. But really, a pause, when I first started, my pause, like I was telling you earlier, was my walk to the mailbox, right? Just to have that moment for myself. I mean, some women, like we were talking earlier, they get up in the middle of the night, and go to the kitchen just to have a moment when everybody's sleeping or get up an hour earlier just to be with themselves for an hour, right? Whatever it's going to be, or a pause if you're finding out you're not eating during the week, you're depleting yourself or you're cranky or something. Take a pause to go to the kitchen and really think about what do I need to nutritionize my body for the next 2 hours so I can have the best next 2 hours today. And then what? And then what? And then what? I used to never drink water. And if someone gave me a water bottle, it would sit here all day long. But what I did through this pause, I kind of like experimented with a bunch of different things. And now I have this Yeti, I don't know, it's not a Yeti, it's a Zach or something from Amazon. This is how I drink 3 of these a day with a straw. If it didn't have a straw in it, I would not be drinking water. But it took me like taking a pause and go, what do I need? Yep, you got one too. How can I make sure that I get enough water and I'm hydrated, and I'm taking care of myself? And this is what I learned. And I've been doing it for over a year now, and it's great. And now when I do get dehydrated, like when I go on a hike or something, and I'm like, I know what that feels like now. And I'm like, I got to get some water in me like right away. Right. but I was dehydrated all the time before. So I didn't even know the difference. I just thought that this was me, you know?
Yep.
Oh
And that is such a good point that we do feel normal,
Yeah.
you know, and until you feel better, you don't realize that your normal was feeling bad. So
Well, this
it's
is just me. That's what
yeah,
we say, you know?
like I used to give blood all the time. It was just something that I thought was good to do. Like I felt like I was being a good person because of it. And not that that's the only thing I needed to do. But one day they wouldn't take my blood because my heart rate was over 100. And it's like, well, why? You always take it. What's the big deal? We just can't. It's our guidelines. We can't. Go away if you want to go sit down, go ahead, go take a rest. And I go, it's always like this. It's never lower. So I don't care how long I go sit. And it's like there was other things that happened, but I learned now that wasn't my normal. It creeped up on me so much that it just felt normal. That's just what life is. But now that mine's always under 60, they're like, oh, that was way different. I was exhausted all the time. I could barely walk because I was already too tired, and you learned the other half. And so I loved that point of, well, it felt normal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I feel better, and better is
Good. Good.
so
That's
it's like find those things. We all have them. What can you do to be more in tune with who you are?
Yeah. Like I said, who has the best imagination, right?
That could be
Imagine the
Dave.
life that you want, and then just baby steps.
It's like, oh, this feels like what I want. And you could ask yourself that same question like you do for the food. What's going to get me through the next
Right.
2-3 hours? What's going to get me through the next 2-3 hours? Ask yourself, to be my best self, what can I use right now? What
And
would
it doesn't
make
have
me
to be your
feel?
best self for an hour, just your best self in the moment.
Yeah. And sometimes being your best self is laying in bed all day. It's okay to recuperate. Your best self isn't always getting a lot done. So it's, maybe I have a little bit of low energy and it's like, what can I do for take a nap? Maybe that's what's in my best interest.
Yeah. When I became an empty nester, which, I have a 25-year-old. She just turned 25. And so she lived with me for a while, but really an empty nester probably for the last year, a little more than a year. My kids asked me, Mom, you need to get some hobbies. And I'm like, I realized I didn't have any. I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? So if I wasn't busy working or like, I don't know, cleaning something or purging something or doing something, I felt unproductive. And I had to learn how to be able to sit down and watch a movie, like watch a movie and be okay, right? Turn my phone off for an hour and a half and be okay, right? So it's been great. Like I travel now all the time. I like do nothing when I'm on the airplane. I travel every month quite a bit. And everyone's like, well, what do you do on the airplane? I'm like, I don't do nothing. I get on my phone here and I have happy color and I just color with a stylus, right? And I'm like, that's all I'm doing. I'm literally not doing much of anything. I'm reading a favorite book maybe, but I'm not working. It's my downtime where people really can't get a hold of me unless I really want them to, right?
And what amazing to have that moment,
Yeah.
like whether it is in the kitchen with all the lights off or in your dark closet or in the airplane, to have those moments when you get to do you.
Yeah.
And it could just be 5 minutes, but it's you.
Yeah.
And it's, those times of self-reflection. What do I want to do? What feels good to me? Because we do go through change. You learned how to be a good single parent.
Yeah.
Now you get to learn
love
how to be a good empty nester. We get
Right.
all these new phases in our lives, and everything we did in the last phase doesn't carry over. So what works and what do we let go of?
Yeah. It's a beautiful life. It's like I said in the beginning, being a human is a gift, and we need to be able to be free to be who we are, and just live in the moment.
Yes. And being in the moment is a lot easier said than done.
Because we want to fill our heads. It's like those people that you talk to, but you know they're not really listening because they're worried about what's happening next. Like, you're really present with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I see strategically when I travel now, I see so many more people that I really care and love than I did when I lived literally half hour from them. That's what's changed is like I strategically I see my kids a lot more, my grandkids a lot more, my parents a lot more, my friends, it's just very interesting how life has changed when I'm really on purpose and intentional with my time and who I really want to spend my time with. Right. I mean, I just love living and I really just love loving on people. But we have to be very careful who we're loving on. Right? Keep loving, right? However, be that loving person with a few boundaries, right?
We could do a whole nother episode on this one.
Yes, we can.
Because it would take a long time to walk through.
Yeah. Perfect.
But it is, I really, go right back to what we started talking about, and that's the possibilities in that uncertainty. And when I feel uncertain, and we have so many phases in our lives, that we get uncertainty over and over again. And there's some things that you're uncertain about that I shouldn't say that are uncertain. Like, I'm going to jump in my car, run to the grocery store and back, and then I'll cook dinner. Well, you could get an accident. The grocery store could be closed. You could run out of gas. But we've done this so many times. Those uncertainties don't bother us because we've got this history that says, nope, I can get to the grocery store and back and I'm safe. And so those things don't convolute our minds, even though they exist. It's the ones that get stuck in our mind that create that fear of, oh no, what if I get in an accident? And then what good are you when you're in that freeze part of, I can't
It's exhausting. It's exhausting listening to that.
I know. I just even feeling it going,
I know.
So take the
So
pause.
let's free our minds and our spirits and our souls.
It's so easy to say. Now, how do we do it?
I know. But with the right group of people, being around the right group of people that help you along is what counts. So, find that. I would encourage everyone to find that, right?
I love that
Your
as our
podcast.
one thing for this week. Let's, Karen says, find someone so you're not alone.
Yeah.
But not in that sense. So you have that sounding board, that person that can help you.
Yeah.
Makes sense because if I'm just me, my mind will chatter.
Yep. Yeah, my daughter's going through something right now, and I've been coaching her through it. And I told her, call me when that happens. She called me this morning. I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah. She called me last night too, like 3 times. It's just like, you just need that love and support right now until we can get over the hump.
Yeah. And we have lots of people we can work through things with, but just giving them that warm, you have somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Thank
sweet.
you so much, Lord.
Karen, why don't you share with our friend a little bit about you, how they can get a hold of you, what you do? And
So I am a mind and business coach, basically. So I help a lot of women get past exactly what we're talking about. And they can find me on Instagram. You just at Karen Bartholomew, just basically my first last name. And there is, a link that you can get in and get some freebie stuff from me. Just follow me on Instagram or Facebook. It's both Karen Bartholomew. And get a lot of great information to help them along. So.
sounds wonderful. Thank you. And that one thing, what we doing this week? I know we already kind of picked one out because you kept saying it, but what is your idea of the one thing?
Well, the one thing we'll really go back to in uncertainty, there are possibilities.
Ooh, write that down. Put it on your monitor.
Yeah.
Because that would be a good one. Just Every time you feel uncertain, you can look at it. There are possibilities.
There are tons of possibilities. You just need to free your mind and take a moment.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're
It's
so very welcome.
been my
Thank you for
pleasure.
having me.
Friend Karen and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. If we can help you along your path, get there with a little bit less stress, let us help. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.